What is good people? You are now listening to another episode of Since We Last Spoke with Danny Foxworth. I am your humble narrator, Danny Foxworth, and today it's been a minute, so this is going to be the third installment of Childhood Stories. So let's get this thing started. It was about 2 or 3 days ago where somebody on Twitter made a post asking people what was the first major news story that you remember. And for me, my first major news story that I remember was the Challenger explosion. That was back in 1986, and I remember it like it happened 5 minutes ago. I was in first grade at Whitesville Elementary, and that particular day, I remember we got in class, said hey to the teacher, Miss Dupriest, and she took attendance and then did a reading assignment. Then we did show and tell afterwards, and then after that, she went to the media room to roll the TV unit into the classroom so we could watch the shuttle launch live. Now, leading up to the launch, she was telling us about one of the astronauts that was on the shuttle, a gentleman by the name of Ron McNair, and she really emphasized the importance of this shuttle launch because of him, because not only was he a black astronaut, number one, but number two, just like us, he was also from South Carolina. He was from Lake City, which is probably about an hour and 15 minutes from Moncks Corner. And so we're watching it live in class, and we're just all fixated on the TV, and all the smoke is rising from the bottom of the space shuttle, and we thinking this is the coolest thing in the world. And then shuttle takes off. I'm like, wow, we're really about to see something go into space. And then about a minute into the launch, it just boom. I mean, it just exploded into a big fireball. And we didn't fully understand the gravity of the situation at the time, being that we were 6 years old, but we all knew that couldn't have been good. So we're all looking at each other like, what just happened? And we're all sitting in front of the TV with our mouths open. And then I happened to turn to Miss Dupriest, and she just burst into tears. And I remember her getting up and running straight out of class. Man, I felt bad for her that day, because Ron McNair was somebody that she was extremely proud of. Even though she was a white teacher, she spoke very highly of him, and stressed the importance of this launch to us. And to see it just end in the fashion that it ended, that crushed her, and I'll never forget that memory. So, you know what? Let's move on to a more lighter note. So I'm going to keep it in Whitesville Elementary. Fast forward to third grade. So we had a school assembly, and if you in elementary school and you get wind that there's going to be an assembly, that's some of the best news in the world as a kid, because you don't have to do no work. We're all just going to waste time watching some performance in the school cafeteria. And this time, there were some people that showed up to our school from Tasmania. It was a group of 5 people, I believe. And they pulled up to the school in a helicopter, which was the coolest shit I ever seen in my life, because I'd never seen a helicopter in real life. And so they get out of the helicopter, they greet everybody, and then we all the students congregate into the lunchroom, and they're on stage talking to people. It was like 3 of them standing on stage talking to people, and it was a man and a woman out of that group that was sitting down on the floor right in front of us. So my classmate Eric Pye, he nudged me. He's like, "Hey, Danny, get her attention. Say something to her." And mind you, something I forgot to mention. This is also back in the late 80s, where Crocodile Dundee was red hot in these streets, and Tasmania is basically right next to Australia. And so, me, fresh off of watching Crocodile Dundee, I tap her on the shoulder, and she turns around, And I just look at her and I say, "Good night, Mike." And I give her a wink. I've never seen nobody roll their eyes harder than what that woman did to me. She just rolled her eyes and just she turned back around and just leaned over to her the guy that she was sitting with, and she just goes, "For fuck's sake, I'm so tired of being in America. I'm ready to go back home." Oh man, yeah, I got a good kick out of that. But yeah, the assembly itself, it wasn't all that memorable. We asked a bunch of questions, but I mean, all in all, it was just we were just happy to get out of class. So let's see, what's another story? Oh, I don't think my parents know about this one. So this is an exclusive. This was 1995. I had just gotten my learner's permit, and I was learning how to drive. And my mom had a company. The company she was working for provided her with a car. It was an old, like, beat down blue Ford Tempo that she would drive back and forth to her job. And one summer, her and my dad went on a cruise, and I figured, what better way to get my driving skills refined than taking a company car for a spin. And we very rarely as a family ventured to downtown Charleston. No, I'm in Moncks Corner. That's probably about a 35 minute drive. But we hardly ever drove to downtown Charleston. The furthest we would go is like either the Church's Chicken on Rivers, or we would stop at Charlestown Square Mall. So, I always wanted to just venture downtown. And so I was like, you know what? This is the perfect opportunity. They're away on the cruise, so I'm hopping this Ford Tempo, and I'm gonna make shit shake. So I get down I-26. I make it to downtown Charleston successfully, but I have no idea how to navigate through these one-way streets, and I'm making all of the wrong turns and just screwing up traffic for everybody. And I wanted to get on the Cooper River Bridge, so I turned off of Meeting Street and cut through America Street unbeknownst to me. So once I get to the stop sign, and I'm seeing all these project buildings, and then I'm like, oh boy, where am I? And then I look up at the sign at the stop sign, and the street sign says America Street, and I'm thinking, oh, this is the street they talk about on the 11 o'clock news all the time. And then all the people sitting on the porch on America Street in these housing projects are outside, and they're all looking at this strange ass blue Ford Tempo. And I'm like, I need to get my black ass the hell up out of here. And I mean, doing like 40 over speed bumps. I'm sorry, Mom. I got the hell up out of there, and then took a wrong turn and ended up on the Cooper River Bridge. For those of y'all that don't know, like the old Cooper River bridges, there was two of them. There was a 4-lane one and a 2-lane one. And I ended up on the 2-lane one. And buddy, I've never been more scared in my life, because that thing is, those 2 lanes, I mean, it feels like it's probably like 3 feet. The road is like 3 feet wide, and I'm white knuckling it on a learner's permit going across this damn bridge. Like, I've never, ever been more scared in my life. And this is somebody who's literally had a loaded gun in their face. That was a humbling experience. And luckily I was able to just navigate across this bridge and get my ass back to Moncks Corner. And I was able to park it in a way that they never knew that I drove it. So I don't know if Mom saw the odometer change or any fluctuation in the odometer, and she just knew something was up but didn't mention it to me. I don't know. That's, out of sight, out of mind. And for that, I'm thankful. Let's see. What's another story? Oh, let me take it back to when I was 4 years old. And I was mad at one of my heroes for a very long time. So at 4 years old, I remember my parents took my sister and I to go see the Superman movie. And that's still one of my favorite movies to this day. But this whole time, I'm sitting there watching the movie, and my 4-year-old brain is watching Superman just fly around the world and save all these people. And I'm like, if Superman can fly, I can. Why not me? Why I should be able to fly too. So I tested that theory once we left the movie theater and drove back home. And as soon as I got in the house, I climbed right on top of that damn bar stool and just jumped. And I mean, like I'm like parallel to the ground. And next thing you know, gravity happened and I landed face first and busted my lip. And I hated Superman for a very long time because of that. Anyway, yeah. Let's see. What else can I talk? Oh, I don't know if I discussed this on this podcast before, but my first time flying in the Hartsfield Airport and meeting my favorite rapper in a very embarrassing fashion. So this was around 2010. And where am I going? I flew from Charleston. I'm connecting in Atlanta, and I can't remember the destination. I think it was like Kansas City or something. Anyway, I'm flying into Hartsfield Airport, and this is my first time here. So I got about an hour layover. So I stop in the food court. No, it's about an hour and a half layover. So I stop in the food court. I go to Popeyes. I get my chicken, and I get a large cup of the red soda. And I finish my chicken, and I carry my soda with me, and I'm making my way to the shuttle. So once you leave the food court, take an escalator down to the floor below, and it's like almost like a subway that they just ship you from gate to gate. So once I get in the shuttle, there's signs everywhere that says hold on to something, because basically the shuttle moves really fast. And I'm thinking I'm just way too cool for school. So I get in a wide-legged stance with my drink in my hand. I'm like, yeah, what's going to happen? Man, look, I'm tough. I don't need to hold on to anything. And next thing you know, that shuttle takes off like a damn bullet. And I'm fall square on my ass, and I'm on my back looking up at everybody. And everybody's pointing and laughing at me. Mind you, I'm wearing an all-white t-shirt, and I got red soda spilled all over my shirt. And I mean, it was bad. All I needed was some yellow tape. It was a gruesome looking scene. So I bruised ego and all. I get up and I'm get to the next gate. And as soon as the doors open, who's about to walk into the shuttle to make it to their gate? Nobody but friggin' Common. And he looks at me and he's like, "Oh, you good, Joe?" I'm like, "Man, it's yeah, I tried to be tough and it failed, but yeah, you're my favorite rapper." And he's at this point, he's not listening to what I'm saying. He's just sitting there laughing and pointing at my shirt because I was too prideful to hold on to something and keep this thing from getting on my shirt. So he was like, "Man, you got to be more careful, Joe." And that's that Chicago slang. I was like, "Yeah, I appreciate it, man. You my favorite rapper." He was like, "All right, Joe." And yeah, bad scene, real bad scene. So yeah, that'll be it for this episode of Childhood Stories. So keep your ears peeled. There's gonna be some more coming. Make sure you like, download, and subscribe to Since We Last Spoke. Thank you for listening. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's Danny Foxworth 843. You can get the video version of the podcast there. And until next time, y'all be good. Peace.